everybody. It's Kim Inocente. I am currently in my office. It's Thursday, April 3rd. I just got done watering my garden and, I didn't have to water it. I was checking the soil, to see if it was still damp. My broccoli is like sprouting a little bit, but that's kind of all I see right now. So I don't know. I'm hoping like my zucchini is gonna I don't know, germinate, is that the word? I'm not really sure. But anyways, yeah. And then yesterday, if you want to know a personal update, I got glasses for the first time in my life. I actually went to, I think it's Helm Vision in Saugus in like the Skyline Plaza shopping center. Um, which, as a side note, in that shopping center, if you're looking for like a good restaurant, there are two really great ones. There's Piccola, which is like an Italian restaurant, super good, and then there's Hanasaki Sushi, which is like, oh my God, it's so delicious. It's the best. I would say it's the best sushi in Santa Clarita. But anyways, I went there and got an eye exam. My right eye has been like getting blurry the last couple of months, probably just aging. And so I had to get glasses. So I got glasses yesterday, which my daughter hates and she keeps trying to take off my face. But yeah, something to get used to. Anyways, today I wanted to talk about the importance of like preparation, whether you're selling or buying, especially buying though, but and what basically like a mini consult would look like. So a mini consultation is basically not a formal consultation where we're going to talk super in depth about, your credit score and all that stuff. It may lead there, but really the intention is for it to be very laid back, educational. There's never any pressure with me, but no pressure. Excuse me. With these consults, really the goal is to start planning. So even if you're like, living in renting an apartment or a room or, whatever your situation is, and you're like, I will never be able to buy a house, or you don't even have a plan for it. You don't even know if you could. That's the purpose of this. It's not to get you to buy a house, maybe even this year. The point is to talk to you about the steps, the cost to expect, maybe give you some ideas for budgeting and saving your money, and helping you come up with a plan, whether it's, you need your down payment, or talking about maybe different areas that you maybe want to look into moving, any type of down payment assistance program, situations. That's really the goal. It's to empower you with knowledge and a roadmap. And maybe we check in with each other every 3 to 6 months type of thing to see how that plan is actually going for you. And then once you're ready, we take it to the next step, basically. And so kind of coming up with like an individualized plan for you to get to that point. And even for sellers, this is a great thing that we can do for you as well, helping you, get some ideas of, even if you're like, I think I want to sell this in 5 years, what are the best upgrades and updates that I could do that would give me the best ROI, things like that. That's what this is for. It's not to get you to sign anything with me, or do anything other than just have a conversation. So, if you're a buyer, exploring early and figuring out what your needs are is really important and beneficial. I cannot stress enough to you how important it is to be over prepared than under prepared. When we discuss maybe desired neighborhoods or lifestyle preferences, especially in Santa Clarita, I mean, there are special assessment taxes, Melrose, things like that in different areas. Sometimes the property taxes could be higher, on one side of the street than the other. The HOAs may vary, things like that. That's something to keep in mind. And sitting down and talking about it is much better than, finding a home, falling in love with it, then trying to kind of do the work backwards of getting pre-approved, maybe figuring out you don't have the money, whatever the case may be. I also think is important because you can kind of differentiate between like a wants and list and like a needs list in a home, which are very different things. I find that a lot of clients will um, go into it saying they want all this stuff. And then sometimes, if those wants, which, they're not needs necessarily, but they're out of their budget, we have to kind of sit back down and, go over, okay, what is actually important to you? And let's focus on like the unchangeables. And I think that that's, if, the more that we can figure it out early, the better and the easier it will be. It's also important to understand like specific area and market trends. And so that's the beauty as well of, meeting every 3 to 6 months until you're ready, is that we can meet and I can say, okay, home prices in this area that you're looking at have increased by X amount, or they've decreased by X amount, or, they're staying on the market for this much, or we're seeing a lot more price decreases. We're leaning towards it more of a buyer's market or a seller's market. And so you can stay informed. In addition to even saying, rates have gone down a little bit, like, where are you in this process? And knowing, that you're working towards it, instead of you finding out that interest rates have dropped, to a great rate, but you don't have any money saved type of thing. So, and you don't know how the process works, and you don't know an agent. And so there is also like a financial preparedness and education piece to it. Like I said, we'll go over the potential costs. I mean, you have your homeowners, not homeowners, your home inspection, excuse me, your appraisals, you have closing costs to factor in. As we all know, I think we all know, but to point that out as well, the laws have changed with buyer representation. And so now, before you go look at any house, you have to sign a buyer's representation with that agent. If they show you a house and they don't have you sign it outside of an open house, they're actually breaking the law. It's a federal law now. And with that buyer representation, one of the things that's on there is it states how much the agent is going to charge for commission. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the buyer has to pay for the commission, but that means that someone has to pay for the commission. And I think that it is wise to sit down with an agent, get to know them and their experience, see if you mesh well with their personality. I want my clients personally to feel comfortable talking to me about their finances and their goals. And if they feel discouraged, like, I want them to be able to come to me for all of those things. And I would hate for a client to just sign a document with me that we're working together and they not know how I operate and if we're a good fit. And so getting back to that buyer rep agreement, though, that's an additional potential cost that you could incur. Or we can say, okay, paying an agent is not in your budget. And so for every offer that we have, we will work on getting the seller to pay my fee. Which quite honestly is always the goal, but it is good, again, to know what that cost is so that you know how much money you need to have. And if you don't have it, there are different types of down payment assistance programs that can help you with your down payment, your closing costs, things like that. Or for instance, we can talk about what type of loan do you think that you would get? There's USDA loans that offer 0% financing, which are really great if you're looking to live in I hate the word rural because I can never say it right, but a rural area. There's FHA, which is only a 3.5% down payment, but you do end up having PMI. And so kind of weighing the pros and cons, maybe a conventional loan is the way you want to go. Are you a veteran? VA loans are really great options for veterans. So just kind of talking about, and I'm not a lender, I'm a real estate agent, as I'm sure you're aware, but talking about the different types of loans so that you just kind of have an idea in your mind. I'm not telling you in any of these meetings that you have to go talk to a lender. That's not the goal, unless that's something that you feel you're ready to do. It's just so that you can understand, because what I find is that a lot of buyers don't even know that there are 0% down payment options or programs to help you with your closing costs. They think that they have to have this 20% down payment. And a lot of them lately I've talked to think that they also now are required to pay the buyer's agent. And that's not the case. It's just that we have to disclose it up front to you before we show you a home, because that is the most ethical thing to do, right? and we figure out who's going to pay that fee, and that can come at a per offer basis, but with my clients, my goal is always, to try to get the seller to pay that fee. So you may not even have to pay it, but it's good to know about it. And then, in our meetings, we would talk about the importance of getting pre-approved. I honestly don't really show homes to clients that are not pre-approved, because once you get your pre-approval letter, you kind of know what interest rate you're going to get. Maybe not 100% because it's not locked in yet, but you kind of know what the payment looks like, what you're comfortable with. And when you're just kind of out looking and you're assuming, I've seen that backfire, especially like in my earlier years of being an agent back in like 2017. It doesn't work out well for people. They tend to realize they can't afford the home is a lot of times, and they've realized they've like wasted all of this time and my time, quite honestly. And so that is like such an important thing. And even with the pre-approval letter, we talk about like interest rates and forecasts of where they're headed, and rate locks and what it means to lock in your rate or buying down an interest rate. Like we talk about all of these things. And so again, it's truly like just education, right? These are all things that, unless you're very, very savvy, the general public typically doesn't know, especially like a first-time home buyer and things like that. So I think it's important to understand. The other thing that we'll cover in these mini consultations is like what the timeline is. Like we want to have a realistic timeline for how long it takes from beginning to end on purchasing a home, as well as what is your timeline? Like what will your timeline look like? How do you prepare for that? If you're in the middle of a lease or something like that, like what are your options are when you get to that point? So it is really good to establish realistic timelines for the buying process. And I also like to discuss all of the steps involved, some from searching to closing, like what can you expect during that? As well as setting some expectations, like I've said, for the current market, like what is happening right now. And then 3 to 6 months from now, depending on what you got going on and everything, we'll revisit it again. I also like the mini consultations because it allows us to build a relationship. It gives you an opportunity to, or not to, depending on who you are, I guess, but trust me. I think that that's really important in handling, purchasing one of the biggest assets that you'll ever own, possibly. And so you need to be comfortable with who you're purchasing with. And so the mini consults are really about creating a comfortable, no pressure environment where you can ask me all the questions you want. I can explain everything I just talked about and more to you. We can establish some rapport. I can tell you about my experience of being an agent for 9 years and working in the Antelope Valley and Santa Clarita. I've also lived in both locations, so I can even tell you about my personal experience living there. And just see if we fit for each other as well. Am I a good fit for you? Do you like how I handle myself? Do you not like how I handle myself? I'm not the typical agent that will come in a suit and a luxury vehicle and try to do all of this, these superficial things to impress you. I'm very regular, and I wear, Converse or Vans, and I wear jeans, and I might wear a nice top or something, but, I'm not like the, stereotypical real estate agent. And so some people may like that because they think it's more authentic, where others may not like it. And so I like to be really upfront with how I am and how I operate. And that's a great time to figure that out. And if it's not a good fit, then you interview somebody else and you see how they work. For sellers, it's really great because we can kind of get like a little bit of a home preparation, especially if you're like a year or so out and you're like, I don't think we'll live here. I know so many people with plans to leave, right? Retirement, whatnot. And so we can kind of go through your house, or you can send me pictures. We can meet on, Zoom or whatever works for you, but we can get a checklist, and I can talk about some impactful improvements that you can do before you decide to sell. Maybe some cost-effective ways to enhance your curb appeal. Suggestions on staging and decluttering, as in addition to upgrades that if you do want to upgrade, what, per the data is going to potentially net you the biggest ROI that will add to your home value. And so that way, again, we can come up with a plan and see where you are in that process, especially if you're selling and buying, and we're doing both. Again, super important. Um, Sorry, I had to mute my microphone because I had a cough. Uh, Market valuation and timing. And so again, for sellers, we'll talk about the current market conditions. We're going to discuss the factors that influence home value. What is your neighborhood like? What is behind your house? How old is your house? How old is your roof? All of these things. And again, we'll talk about timelines. How long are homes staying on the market in your area? Is the days on market trending upwards or downwards? And what do we need to do to make the most of that time? Again, helping you prepare for your house and helping you also prepare your expectations for when that time will happen. And again, meeting every 3 to 6 months, even if it's a chat on the phone, just to kind of update you and let you know what's going on and seeing where you're at. I also feel that the mini consults with sellers are great for explaining the process and, again, expectations. So we talk about, everything that happens from pre-listing, because there's a process there, to listing and it going active, to the escrow process and closing. So everything. I answer any and all questions you have, any challenges, any solutions that we may have. I know that I tend to get the worry that I hope my home passes inspection. Home inspections are not a pass or a fail. I just want to give you a little tidbit there. The home inspection is the information for the buyer to understand what they're buying. If you want to call it inspection, that matters the most is the appraisal. Now, if the house appraises or not, that's where we have kind of a thing. But home inspections, something always pops up on the home inspection, and there's so many different ways to resolve that we can go in and talk about in buyer consults and seller consults. But there's no pass or fail there. It really depends on what the buyer and seller want to do and if those things are kind of a big deal to them. But again, we can talk about those options in the mini consultations. Let's see. I made an outline for myself so it wouldn't be all over the place. But yeah, so, oh dear, I lost my train of thought. Okay. But yeah, so, again, these consultations, I just want to reiterate, they are for getting to know me getting to know you, seeing how I work. Do you like me? Do you think I'm knowledgeable? Do you think I can, do what needs to be done to help you? I want everybody that works with me to feel super comfortable. I want it to feel like I am like your good friend who brings you coffee and is like here to help. I don't want to feel like this unapproachable businesswoman that, like, if you have such a hard time and want to vent to me, that you can't. Like, I am here to help. And so the way that we would do a mini consultation, there's a few ways. For buyers and sellers, we can meet over Zoom, or we can meet at a coffee shop. I think a phone consultation for a mini consultation, unless neither of those options are available to you, I prefer in some way to be face-to-face. I think it's just a better, more personable way to work. And then for sellers, if you want me to come to your house at that time to take a look and do all of that, I can totally do that too. That is fine. Again, it's just like a 30-minute low-key chit chat to just kind of get to know me. You can call it a mini consultation, a discovery call, whatever the case. But I do think it is important. And I feel that especially for buyers, I was just at an event recently, and one of the girls was like, I'm never going to buy a house. And she has a good job. And now, while I don't know, because we haven't talked about expenses, I do know that she has no plan. And that's fine. Plenty of people don't, but I think that it's important to have a plan, especially with home ownership and building equity. That's like the biggest source of generational wealth in our country. And so I think that is an important thing, even if you can't get to it this year. I think it is an important thing to work towards. So that's just kind of my spiel on the mini consultations. I would love to chat with you about it. My phone number is 661-618-2591. My name, like I said, it's Kim Inocente. So just like the show title, if you have questions about my real estate license, the brokerage I work for, which is JohnHart Real Estate, that will all be in the show notes. And oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, I don't know. If you're, oh, my daughter's coming in here. I'm gonna go. But if you are not ready for a mini consultation, the last thing that I want to say is I have a buyer's guide and a seller's guide in the show notes. They're completely free. And download them, take a look at them, and whenever you're ready, reach out to me. I just want to let you know I'm here for you. And like I said, if you have any questions or want to schedule a mini consult, give me a call. And oh, I'll talk to you later. Bye.